Hello YouTube, this is Thongger and welcome to another Dawn of War 2 Retribution online commentary video. This game is played on the Green Tooth Gorge and it is surprisingly a 1v1 game. I normally don't cast many 1v1 games because I haven't gotten many replays, and generally I don't play 1v1 that often because it's stressful and scary, I find. Anyway, I'm pulling out a lot of these replays all casts at once because the patch 3.19.1 is coming out soon, so I'm gonna lose all these replays if I don't cast this, so might as well now. And I don't really want to work when it's 9:15 p.m. on a Thursday night on a cold winter's day in the northern UK. Anyway, let's have a look at the players here. It's me, Thongger, playing as my bright pink Rainbow Space Marines. I am playing as the Techmarine, and my opponent, a very high-ranking skilled player, of a skill ranking or something in the order of 3000, and he is ranked, has like level 60 something armies for everything, and has played dozens and dozens of ranked games. Me, I've played in 10 ranked games in total, probably. Anyway, he's playing as the Warboss, so this is going to be my defensive Techmarine against his Warboss that can kill everything in its path. So anyway, let's get things started right here. I don't really want to be talking too much about myself because that's boring. I'm going to cast this game from Konikas' point of view. EOE Konikas playing as the Ork Warboss. Oh, anyway, forgot to look at this map. For those of you who aren't familiar with this map, Green Tooth Gorge is quite a wide open foresty map. The map is pretty much like split in two down the middle. We have, each team has a natural red point and a natural power node. So my natural power node would be on the left side of the map, and Konikas' natural power node would be on the right side of the map. And his natural victory point is here. And we have a contested victory point in the middle, and we have some various scattered points. You can see the mini-map, I don't need to explain it too much. So anyway, right off the bat, I am going to build a tactical marine squad, and Konikas is going for double slugger boys and shooter boys. So Space Marines always have trouble dealing with melee in tier 1, seeing as a part that Space Marines actually have no dedicated melee units apart from Assault Terminators. Because Assault Space Marines are more disruption than anything else. They can't go toe to toe against Corn Space Marines or against Slugger Boys with Ard Boys and use your choppers on them. They'll probably take many losses, and Assault Space Marines aren't cheap. So they may need to jump in, disrupt enemy shooty blobs, and act as a soft AV counter and not play as a hard dedicated melee unit. So anyway, Konikas is getting his natural VP point, and he's massing his Ork Horde, and he's going to strike at my natural VP over here. My Marines are scattered on the right side of the map, so Konikas is going to come make a strong push over here. I'm going to put his Slugger Boys right in the guard tower, and I have only 2 scout squads over here, and I see this big Ork Horde coming forward, so I'm just going to bunker down my scouts in some good cover over here while the rest of my Marines are coming forward to support. We do have a big Ork Horde over here, and alone my scouts stand no chance, but I'm just trying to buy time with my scouts over here, and I do manage to bring down an Ork model right there, so that's 1 Ork loss, and the only good Ork is a dead Ork in my opinion. But these Orks are pulling out burners, which gives them power melee weapons, very effective against Space Marines in their power armor, and we'll go to burn out my scouts out of the guard tower. But my scouts do hit the Warboss with their shotguns and doing terrible damage to him. And now my scouts are starting to get burned out of the building, so I pull my scouts out of the building. Just need to put them out. My tactical marines do manage to bring down the Ork Warboss. But now my scouts are getting pincered over here, and the Orks are getting some knockbacks on my scouts. So my scout squad is pulling out, barely making it out of there with 64 hit points. And now my Techmarine gets a face full of chopper over here, and down he goes. So I managed to kill the Ork Warboss, but I lost my hero as well. So tit for tat. I did lose a tactical marine as well and a couple of scouts, and the Ork player lost a couple of models as well, so that was quite an even fight, except that I'm losing my power node over here. So all in all, that was probably a win for Konikas. So now Konikas is just he's probably gonna uncap this point right here. I'm gonna uncap my victory point. But right now map control is quite even. We have a section of neutral points down the middle band of the map. But Konikas is a pretty strong position. He outnumbers me. and all these slugger boys will be a big problem. The only counter to melee I have are my shotgun scouts over here. I will be pulling a scout sergeant in a few seconds whenever I get the sufficient resources. And now this orc horde is storming forward, but this slugger boy squad is getting completely focus fired down, and they just go down in a heap. Shotgun blast going down on these slugger boys, doing terrible damage, and these slugger boys have to get out of there. The scout squad did get a real pummeling from that double shooter boy squad, but did not take any model losses fortunately. So now my marine blob is pushing forward. I have armed my tactical marine squad with a flamer, and Konikas has his warboss running around capping the middle victory point. So I am bleeding a good number of victory points, but victory points aren't so important in tier 1. Power and resources are more important in my opinion. So I'm gonna uncap Konikas' natural power node and his natural rec point. If I can uncap this point, that's 30 less requisition income, and that's really gonna hurt his income. So anytime you can uncap your opponent's rec points, take it, because then it'll just make your war effort that little bit easier. And this warboss is coming forward over here, but my shotgun scouts are on standby, having regenerated their health, and this warboss is in big trouble over here. I'll be able to kite forever with my scouts, and in my second scout squad with a sergeant on field, the warboss has to get out of there. But we do have a big orc horde over here, and my tactical marines are about to get melee, so I'm just going to run them around this big rock over here with my scouts and Techmarine, focus fire down this slugger boy squad, so they're taking some terrible damage and I'm going to have to get out of there. I do hurl a grenade, but he spots this and pulls back. But we should have saved this grenade for giving this slugger boy squad. For those of you who don't know, squads take about 120% more damage from grenades on retreat, so, and they take more melee damage but 80% less range damage from on retreat. So if you grenade spiking and melee kills are a great way of knocking out retreating models. So then my space means are staring down these orcs, but if you're out in the open, out of cover, flamers actually do less damage. So my opponent was wiser and actually managed to knock out one of my space marine models and almost dropped another model. But my Techmarine is going to melee, and my scouts would have been able to do some good damage. And Techmarine is no slouch in melee as well, because by sheer virtue of his toughness. So the majority of the map is actually in my control right now. Whoopity-doo, quite surprising. Seeing as space marines generally have quite poor map control. Always useful to have 2 scouts, just give you that extra bit of flexibility. And these slugger boys are coming for. I know I can't stop this. I'm just gonna hit these guys with shotgun blast and try and focus fire down these slugger boys and do what damage I can, cause a model loss. And now this Ork Warboss is charging forward with that big ammo of his and slapping my Techmarine around. So my Techmarine has to be very careful. Konikas making a strong push with double slugger boys right behind him, doing more damage to my scouts. My scouts gonna have to be very careful. Just not sure what the scouts are doing. Hurl a grenade at the floor, hoping the Warboss would have followed, but he was too busy sync killing one of my scouts. So he did knock out 2 of my scouts over there. So that's quite a bad loss for me. And one of my scouts down to just a single model, so that's just bleeding more wreck off me. But I have killed lots and lots of orcs, so I am ahead in the resource income, as I do have lots of plus 30 requisition points over here. So that's just really boosting my requisition income by almost at 100 points ahead of my opponent. So that's really helping my economy right now, and I do have more power than my opponent, but my opponent is rectifying that. Just having all these little power nodes just gives you that tiny little boost. Makes the game all that much easier for you. But my opponent is hitting tier 2 despite my resource advantage, because I decided to go a bit heavy in a tier 1. Pull out some devastators. Always useful to have suppression on the field when you have pretty much any form of orcs running around. Seeing as orcs don't have an insta-kill setup squad like the Elder Autarch, I thought it was quite a safe bet pulling out heavy bolted devastator squad that would have pinned the Warboss and the slugger boy squad, and would be able to do some good damage to the shooter boys.
Adding support structure.
Anyway, devastator squad would give me some much needed map control over here, as this Warboss is charging in after my scouts over here. My heavy bolter squad will suppress the Warboss. The Warboss only takes some pretty heavy damage, and he has to get out there. Very little hit points, down to only 2 hit points. So I almost bring down the Warboss there. Down. Oh no, he does go down. So, I didn't notice that actually at all when I played this game. Then those slugger boys are pulling out. Use your choppers, which gives them increased knockback ability. I do hurl a grenade. Managed to give one of these orc models over here, and my scouts are pursuing these orcs, but these orcs are getting suppressed, so they have to get on out of there. So always useful just to throw a grenade. Try and plan where your opponent's going to be when you hurl a grenade. And this is just this is going to show you how important green cover is. Green cover reduces incoming damage by 50%, I think. or maybe 70%. So now my Techmarine is in green cover, and he's just pretty much taking on a whole squad on his own, even though he's severely weakened. And now the orcs are in cover, but one of those orcs wasn't in cover, and I brought him down. And I'm starting to hit tier 2, but Konikas having hit tier 2 is pulling a Weird Boy. And Weird Boy is a semi-artillery squad, being in a whole bolts of pure psychoplasma at any setup squad, and he can fire quite fast and does considerable damage, so it's a very good counter to Devastating Marine squad. And the Orc Weird Boy, with all his weird spells like Foot of Gore, can get over there, and Warp Vomit, generally very good spells and cause tons of disruption and great synergy for orcs in general. So now I see this Weird Boy, and I know I'm in big trouble. I need to be hitting tier 2, which is what I am doing. I am still ahead in the resource game, both on the power and the requisition front, allowing me to replace my losses and to tech ahead. This wreck point probably could have been capped, but I sort of forgot about that. This is a pretty big map, so we're here going to see the devastating effect of the Weird Boy here, but I see the Weird Boy shot incoming and get my Tactical Marines out of there. My Devastating Marines out of there. So you can see the Weird Boy just doing some terrible damage, but I do retreat my tac squad, and the friendly fire from the Orc Weird Boy does bring down one Slugger Boy squad, so that's more wreck bleed for my opponent. I'm going to take any bit of wreck bleed I can get. But now I'm sort of pinned in my base because this Weird Boy is in good cover, and he's able to just keep consistently knocking back my squad, so I need something with more staying power on the field, and that's going to be given to me by a Razorback. So I've put out a plasma gun for my Techmarine. Not sure if that was such a good choice, seeing as the orcs don't have so much heavy infantry. And I'm pulling out Signum armor, which will give me the mark target ability. That is very useful. Probably should have gone for the consecrated bolter, which will allow me to snipe the Weird Boy and deal even more bleed damage. But I'm setting up my Devastator over here, but my Devastator squad just keeps getting knocked back by this Weird Boy. So every time I try to set up, the Weird Boy just keeps knocking my guys back on their feet, and this Scout squad just has to get out of there. And my Tactical Marines are inside the Razorback. Are they? Nope, they're not. They're just standing at base. But my Scouts are just trying to pull on out of there. Oh, the Zap knocks out 2 of my Scout models, and the Weird Boy can just see how much damage his plasma shots are doing, and my Devastated Marines just taking lots of damage over here. So we're gonna have to pull them right on out of there. So right now my Konikas has me well pinned in my base with this Weird Boy standing behind cover. I really couldn't do much against it, even if my Razorback. So at this point I'm probably gonna, I think if memory serves me, I'm gonna load some Marines inside and try to punch through this enemy cover and get my Tactical Marines behind him and engage the Weird Boy in melee combat. Because the Weird Boy can't really melee to save his life, he's just a big artillery unit. My opponent knows I'm in a back foot position, and sticky bombers are always useful to have, just to chuck grenades. Sticky bombers are great for devastating a defensive line. But I'm going to show you a counter for sticky bombers. A lot of people have said, oh, sticky bombers are overpowered, and if you stand there and take the grenades, yes they are. They will be able to wipe out pretty much a wounded Devastator squad, no problem. And my Scouts are engaging the Slugger Boy squad in melee combat. My micro attention was taken off my Scouts at this point, and I didn't realize my Scout squad with the Sergeant was taking terrible damage. I retreat them, but my Scout Sergeant does go down. Unfortunately, I did manage to force the Weird Boy back, having put mark target on him, and now my Techmarine with his plasma gun is doing some terrible damage to all these Orc Slugger Boys over here. My Techmarines armed with the Sergeant, the Flamer, just gonna really lay down the hurt. The Sergeant's really quite a beast in melee combat. And we do have the Orcs putting on Ard Boys, I think, which makes them more resilient. And we can have the Sticky Bombers coming forward, but when you see Sticky Bombers, you just have to keep moving forward and just try and keep dodging the Sticky Bombers. Sticky Bombers are very fragile, and just try and hit them with anything you get. Even my Techmarine does go down on that. The Orc Warboss does have the Power Claw, so he'll be able to do some pretty terrible damage to pretty much anything he faces. So just slapping my Marines around over there, but my Razorback will be able to knock him back. And I have equipped my surviving Shotgun Scout squad with a Sergeant to give me grenades. So I have a pretty strong force of Marines. I'm quite content with this. This is a build I'm quite familiar with. And this Warboss really can't do much, a bit out of position, gonna have to put on out there. So right now, the only counter to this Razorback is this Weird Boy, but the Weird Boy is quite deadly, and this Orc Knob has a power melee weapon, so we can get some oh, that shot really wrecked my Razorback. Oh, you can see the Sticky Bombers forcing my Scouts right off the point over here. And we do have my Devastating Marine squad. Now you're gonna see the effect of mark target with Devastators at point blank range, increasing damage by 50%, and boom, that entire Orc Slugger squad just goes down. Here you can see these two grenades, and the grenade is absolutely gibbing one of my devastated marines over there. So you can see even with a few grenades how much damage those sticky bombers can do. But that was the powerful effect of Signum Armor. Mark target plus devastators at point blank range will pretty much slaughter anything. Even units like Tyrant Guards or a Blood Crusher with Mark Target and with Vengeance Bolts on the Devastator will be able to bring them down quite quickly. So anyway, I'm setting up my Devastator and my opponent, seeing the danger of my Razorback, has decided to pull out a squad of Tank Busters. Tank Busters quite dangerous, and with the Rocket Barrage can do quite good damage to even regular infantry units. But the Orcs are pushing forward strong over here. My Techmarine is trying to uncap this point. But I still do see this big horde. I'm not sure if I decide it's not worth it risking my Techmarine like that. And the Razorback is going to come forward. I'm just going to bleed more of these Orc models over here. I'm going to hit these sticky bombers with shotgun blast and just lay into them with my Razorback. The Techmarine is taking terrible damage, but the Devastator is covering his retreat, so Techmarine is going to get out there no problem. We do have a zap blast going off on my scouts, so my scouts are going to have to get out there before they take too much damage. But the zap has passed on my Tactical Marines, so Tactical Marines are going to have to be quite careful. Devastator is taking a fistful of grenades to the face, so we're going to have to get out of there as well. My 4 armies in retreat Razorback. Not much my lone Razorback can do, especially with these Tank Busters out there. Tank Busters very dangerous. So I know I need more staying power in the field, so I'm pulling out a Dreadnought, a revered Space Marine warrior entombed in the sarcophagus. A walking war machine, so even in death, the Space Marine can still serve the Emperor. But these Orcs are pushing forward over here. He knows my Marines are cooped up in my base. But fortunately my scouts do spot this. I do hear the rocket barrage, and I do wheel my Razorback out of position. That could have really laid down the hurt, but now my Razorback is presenting his rear armor. But my scouts do manage to get a flank, and I do hurl a grenade onto these Tank Busters and manage to give one of the Tank Busters, so that's another model kill for me. So now that I know my opponent has been bled of lots of squads, I'm going to push forward. I know his Weird Boy and his Tank Busters have been forced off the field. It's always good to keep a mental note of what your opponent has and what has been forced off the field. So now I'm going to make a strong push down the center, and my Dreadnought, I'm arming him with the Assault Cannon. I always feel that I tend to overextend my melee Dreadnoughts quite badly, so I thought Assault Cannon would be more useful. Anyway, my Tactical Marines is forcing back these Slugger Boy squads. The Tactical Marines armed with their bolters can crank out some pretty considerable DPS. So now I am making encroaches into my opponent's natural territory, where my scouts is capping his natural wreck point. But now he is hitting tier 3 and will be able to pull out knobs. I do see these sticky bombers coming in. My scouts managed to get out of there, taking no damage from Weird Boy blasting those sticky bombers. That would have wiped out my squad if I stayed there. And I put on, and they shall know no fear. So now my Space Marines are very resilient to damage. I use an Assault Cannon barrage and start slaughtering these Tank Busters over here. Gonna have to force this Tank Buster back and put Mark Target on this Warboss. Devastated Marines focus firing down this Warboss, and the Warboss is taking terrible damage. So I have routed the Orc forces over here. Tactical Marines did tank a lot of the ending damage, but now I have a clean shot at Konikas' power node gen farm. So now my Flamer Marines are gonna have a field day on this. The Orcs sort of trapped in his base. The tables have been turned. Has lost a number of squads throughout this game. I think he lost a Shooter Boy squad as well, so that was a good kill for me. So I have completely managed to wreck this gen farm over here. But Zap did take down one Tactical Marine, so this Tactical Marine squad has to be careful over here. This Devastated Marine squad is in position to receive the Orc Horde, but an Orc Weird Boy blast will be able to lay down a hurt. And oh my goodness, grenades are absolutely slaughtering my Devastated Marine squad, so they are not prepared as I thought. But now with the Assault Cannon barrage, is starting to hammer this Weird Boy over here. Slap Mark Target on the Weird Boy while he's off his feet, and boom, down he goes. Just absolutely give my Tactical Marine squad reinforcing on the field with the Razorbacks. Now the Weird Boy just magically seems to float towards my Tactical Marine squad, and boom, he pops, knocking all my Tactical Marines off their back. But fortunately, Tactical Marines are extremely tough. And now Konikas is pulling out knobs, and knobs are absolute beasts, and we'll be able to slaughter like pretty much everything they come across. Knobs can kill any unit in the game, and in certain circumstances they can beat Terminators. They can beat regular Terminators very handily, and Assault Terminators will be hard pressed to match them in a fair fight. Anyway, we do have these shooter boy squads running some disruption behind enemy lines, and my scouts are there to meet the threat.
On guard.
Just gonna infiltrate, but these shooter boys are just gonna warily regroup. I have very strong central position in the game right now. My Devastator is still sort of sitting at base. You always want to be aware of units regrouping at your base. My Tactical Marines did jump off this Razorback and did manage to get a model kill on the shooter boy squad. So always useful just to get more model kills, but the knobs have been fielded over here. I do see these tank busters gonna hit them with an assault cannon barrage, knock these tank busters off their feet, giving several of the models, but I see these knobs and I'm gonna have to get it out of them. I do use my Razorback to charge them just to get a little bit of disruption on their pathfinding. Hit mark target and overcharge plasma gun on them to force them to pop frenzy, to bleed more of their red. But while knobs aren't frenzy, they're immune to damage. And now they're really laying into the hurt on my Devastator, but into my Dreadnought, but my Devastator Marines giving much needed covering fire and forcing these knobs back. But you can just see how quickly those knobs are butchering my Dreadnought. So now these knobs have to get on out of there. They are extremely hard to kill, very tough, and yeah, so my vehicles took some pretty considerable damage from that, but the Techmarine is right there to heal, to bring them back up to full strength. The plasma gun was a worthy investment after all, seeing as orcs have super heavy infantry armor, and plasma guns do 1.5 times the damage they would against normal targets, against super heavy infantry armor. So anyway, bit of a lull in combat over here. My scouts just running disruption behind enemy lines. You always want to keep your units at least one unit moving around, ninja capping, because that will help my resource income all the more and just force my opponent to waste time. Oh, we did have friendly fire those orc grenades bombing that slugger boy into oblivion, and my Terminators have been fielded. Pink Terminators have answered the Emperor's call to crush his foes, but those tank busters did knock out my Razorback. My assault cannon barrage did miss those orc knobs. They have popped frenzy, breaking suppression, and I have hit them with mark target, and now the frenzy has ended, taking considerable damage. My Devastator is setting up to cover the retreat on my Dreadnought, but getting knocked back by assault cannon barrage, and now my Dreadnought's in big trouble, and down goes my Dreadnought. Getting absolutely mauled by those knobs, getting suppressed at the last one, but one of my Devastators takes a hammer to the face over here, and bam, down goes the Devastator, but these orc knobs are out of position and very low on hit points, so we're gonna have to get out of there. My Terminators are tanking the Ork Warboss over here. Terminators doing some good heavy melee damage with their power fists, but they won't be able to stand against a Warboss and his power claw, but my Marines were on standby to force back this Warboss, so that's quite good for me. So we did take some losses from that engagement. The tank busters were killed. I lost my Dreadnought, lost my Razorback, and my opponent lost his Slugger Boys and Shooter Boys. And I am arming my Terminators with the Assault Cannon to make up for the absence of my Dreadnought. And there you can see my pink Terminators in all their glory. My Tactical Marines did get hit by Sticky Bomber Grenade Barrage as I attempted to cap this point, and the Sergeant did go down, so that was very unfortunate. Always sucks when you use a Sergeant, seeing as they are quite expensive and valuable members. And now this Assault Cannon in a single volley just brought down one Slugger Boy squad, and now the Warboss is at the head of his elite knob squad bodyguard, and my Marines are gonna have to get out of there. I pop my shield so my Techmarine doesn't take any health damage while I'm setting up my Devastator squad to provide some much needed cover. One thing about knobs, you need to hit them early to force them to pop their frenzy. The last thing you want is for them to pop frenzy in the middle of a battle, because that will be absolutely devastating. By the time it wears off, your guys will be dead. So now I'm just using my Techmarine to run some disruption. Just gonna pew at them with my assault cannon. I'm hitting them with mark target and forcing them to pop frenzy early on. They become immune to damage but not immune to knockback, so now I'm just keeping them at bay with all my Marines over here, and now when frenzy wears off, they're vulnerable to damage, and I have my full Marine force facing them, and they have to get out of there. The Sticky Bomber squad hurling some grenades, and my Devastators doing some pretty good damage to my Devastators over here, but not causing a model loss, and my turn is just marching forward over here. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the game. I have controlled most of the map for most of the game. To my surprise, I honestly thought I was going to lose this map. My opponent played very well. At the end of this match, I was sweating and my heart rate had considerably quickened. Anyway, the valiant Rainbow Marines chapter were triumphant over the vicious and violent smelly orc horde over here, and now you can see veterans of the Rainbow Marine chapter standing proud. And anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that game, and If you guys want me to cast a replay, send it to thongger@hotmail.my and send me a YouTube message and send me an email. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time. Thong out.